In this video, I'm going to cover the most recent real estate statistics and talk about what they have to do with the frozen burrito. Also look at the real estate stats going forward, the leading indicators and what that might point to where the market's going to be in the next couple of months. We're going to talk about some mistakes that both consumers and realtors are making in terms of how the realtor commission settlement has been applied, right? And all of this, what this means to you as a buyer or seller of real estate right now. And just a reminder that we are still in this microwave frozen burrito environment that I've talked about for years now. In fact, I've had this in my freezer for so long, I probably can't even eat it anymore. What it means is that I ate a million frozen microwave burritos when I was a kid, and the first bite, you know that it's gonna burn your mouth, and the second bite is gonna be ice cold. And where that applies for real estate is we're seeing a lot of overpriced listings on the market, because what's happening is one home that really is special is selling at an incredible price, and then everybody else whose homes are just kind of average, they're coming on the market at the same price as that incredible house, and the seller's not realizing that the buyers just aren't biting unless that home is compelling. Buyers are also making the same mistake that when that awesome house does come on the market, they don't realize that there's like 3 people that have been waiting for that awesome house to come on the market as well, and they're kind of coming along and just dipping their toe in the water, and then they're losing out to somebody else. And so everybody's got to be kind of self-aware when you're selling the house, and also understanding the frozen burrito conditions when you're buying a home too. All right, let's get into the stats. All right, now let's look at the real estate statistics for April for Cedar Park. And what we had in April is 79 sales. That was down 14% from last year. The median price was $550,000. That was actually up 17% from last year. And the average price was $622,000. That was up 10%. That does not mean that your home is necessarily worth 17% or 10% more. There were a few very high-end sales in April in Cedar Park, and that is skewing some of those statistics a little bit. Overall, for year to date, there have been 241 sales in Cedar Park, and that's down 1% from last year. This is what we want to look at, though, going forward, is the inventory. The number of new listings, 459, so that's up 13%. And the number of homes that are under contract year to date is 293, so that's down 2%. And the overall of homes is 2.72, so that's still a good number. But when we start looking at the overall inventory of homes for sale, we did see quite a bump, an increase in the number of homes for sale in April. And normally there is a rhythm in the market where we see an increase in the number of homes on the market, but that typically happens later in the summer. So this is a little bit alarming even in terms of what's going to happen. And that'll be something that we'll have to keep our eye on in the next few weeks, because if that continues to go up, that could cause some price pressure for homes in Cedar Park. Now let's take a look at the latest mortgage interest rates, and this is from Mortgage News Daily. Kopa Real Estate is not a mortgage lender. These 30-year fixed rates are at 6.88%, basically flat over the last month, and 15-year fixed down at 6.2%. So we are seeing some lenders are quoting interest rates a little bit lower than that, but for the most part, we're not expecting that to change anytime soon. Now I want to talk about a couple of things that I'm seeing as far as realtor commissions, and of course there was a big lawsuit settlement last year that came out, and how these are being applied. A couple of things that I've seen lately. One is that I got this text from an agent, and she was asking me what our buyer agent compensation was for a couple of listings that we have on the market. A couple of things that I want to talk about. First is that you should be hiring somebody as your listing agent who already knows what to do and can give you advice. You shouldn't be hiring somebody that's trying to call me and have me tell them what to do. If you're hiring somebody that doesn't know what to do, just call me yourself instead of having to go through some other agent, right? Second thing is that this is price fixing. And when an agent contacts me about this is part of what that whole lawsuit was about. So of course, I'm not going to answer any of this information that would even put me in any kind of bind as far as price fixing goes, and none of my job is out here trying to keep buyer agents happy or trying to artificially keep up buyer agent compensation, right? So that's just one thing. Second is that I'm getting text messages and phone calls from other agents. And one of the way that we can do buyer agent compensation is the seller doesn't have to pay any, but in most of the transactions, it's being negotiated as part of the contract, right? And so some of the buyer's agents are still not understanding that. And if the seller is not directly, or myself as a broker, is not doing broker to broker compensation to the buyer's agent is then telling the buyer that the seller's not paying anything, and then the buyer is not wanting to go see that house. And unfortunately, when you look look at this, what an incredible house this was that went under contract. And the clients, the buyers that this agent is representing really missed out, all because that buyer's agent is not explaining the process to them. And so if you're thinking about going and buying a home and you're going to be working with a realtor, make sure that realtor, you're hiring somebody who really understands this backwards and forwards and isn't going to be giving you information that's going to cause you to not go see a house simply because there's no broker-to-broker compensation involved in the transaction. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we appreciate your support. If you'd like to know how any of this information would impact your home sale, feel free to reach out to me directly at 512-791-7473 or book a time on my calendar at kopaconsultation.com.